Mary, you got on.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm just really
You apologize every
I have
time.
problems.
All right, we're ready to start. This is Kenneth Price, Reverend Kenneth Price, on Wednesday, September 24th, and this is Real Talk. I host these every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, and we talk about real issues because, and really want to, well, people call it waking up. I call it just growing up. If we're really going to get serious about this path, it's requiring of us to take full responsibility for all of our projections. And when we really get deep into this path, we realize we're projecting everything. Now, that doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room for storytelling. It doesn't leave much wiggle room for victim. It doesn't leave any wiggle room for that. So what happens is that we start the Course in Miracles. Oh, I love it, Shakespearean prose, and oh, isn't this beautiful, iambic pentameter, and then the next thing you know, he says, you're right here, you guys, and you're going to have to. Well, everybody teaches the course differently, and I'm not really a course teacher, but I'm a long time student, and eventually the shadows when we remove all these barriers to love's presence, you guys, everything that's unprocessed down deep in the subconscious is going to come up. Perfect. That's where the work begins. That's where the bravery. That's where we're being, called into bravery, and that's why I'm hosting these calls, because that's real talk. Hi, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, hi, I'm Cal.
Hi, Cal. You're the first. This is your first time here, so maybe you want to go first. I don't have format. I'm not into structure, but I tell you this much: we meet every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, and magic happens. And I don't take responsibility for the magic, but I do host the magic.
So I really want to connect about the course and just like remembering empathy, like connecting with people who are really like putting empathy as a primary driving force to our forgiveness process to so I have judgments just like everybody else, and especially a lot right now. I'm getting really
well, we don't have judgments here, but go on.
This is like real stuff, and
Mhm.
I want to actually do it. I want to do it. So that's me.
And I got corrected by the ministry last week. I am not ordained with Living Church Ministries. I am commissioned with Living Church Ministries. There's a difference. They pointed that out to me. So I posted that on social media. Now that I've made that clear, and misuse of the course, and what you're describing, Cal, is another. I think there's three words for it: spiritual bypass, metaphysical ghosting, and deflection. And if you're a mental health, and you said you're a mental health therapist, so people have been weaponizing the Bible for centuries and thousands of years. And so why should the Course in Miracles be any different? You know what? People are going to weaponize the Course, and they have. This is a topic which needs to be flushed out. And Dakini Wild and I have been doing a lot of work together to really flush it out, because she's also a mental health care practitioner, or she's not licensed anymore, but she's worked in these industries, and she's also a Course in Miracles teacher. And Cal, her and I have had many of these discussions. Empathy. We're going to unpack quite a bit.
I've been having a very hard time with self-forgiveness recently. After being called out on some things by some family members, I think that I need to really look at myself. Really, really look at myself.
Quick, I don't want to interrupt, but I've got to interject. You and I have been working together for a long time. Look gently, kindly, compassionately. When we look at ourselves.
That's where empathy comes in. I mean, I can muster empathy for anybody but myself.
I've been joining Mary. We're working together. We've been working together for how many weeks now?
I don't know. Probably
because Yeah, because I my early years in these paths was bringing the old wine and new wine into old wineskins. I'll look at myself just like I accomplished that finance degree. No, Kenneth,
Yeah.
it's
Who cares,
it's a
right?
whole yeah. Well, this is not a doing. It's
Yeah. It's undoing.
yeah. Well, we have no. We don't undo. We allow ourselves to be undone. But my friend Takini is always saying, you can this, she'll say you can look, you can do this work, but you can't do it alone. You have to do it with the Holy Spirit. Well, the Holy Spirit's kind of abstract to me, so I,
Yeah, I'm
I
the
try
same
and
way.
yeah. So that's why you and I are doing this work together. But it's good, Mary. You're bringing it here on Wednesday. You're unpacking it. You're getting part.
Yeah.
All that's really being asked. I mean, everyone complicates the Course in Miracles. How couldn't they? It's 1,400 pages. A lot of it's just willingness, honesty, and bravery. And
Yeah.
the
And
the
I think
Spirit fills in the rest.
it does. I don't know how to grab onto the spirit. I really don't. I think that
Well, you're telling me that every week, and then every week you and I grab onto Spirit together. So yeah, you do. So keep going.
I know. I know, but day to day, because
I
there's so
know.
many outside influences, you have these roles of
I know.
I do of mom, grandma, sister, you know, daughter, all those things. And it seems like I have to be different in every instance. It seems like you have to play a role. I don't want to play a role. I'm tired. I'm exhausted of that.
Mhm.
And it is exhausting.
If things were going well for you, Mary, not well, if things were, I mean, if you had a comfortable illusion, you would never have picked up A Course in Miracles. You would have never met me, and you would have never been asking these deeper questions. The Course in
Right.
Miracles isn't a path about, people don't come to the Course in Miracles. People will not really do it. I mean, they'll read it, and it's nice, nice, nice. But until there's a push, we're not. Who in their right mind's going to try and allow themselves to be disassembled until there's nothing else, until their backs up
So
against the wall.
do most people come to this point when feel like they've exhausted everything else? Because
Well,
I cry deep guttural cries every single day.
look,
Mm.
the illusion stop war. The illusion can only give us pain and pleasure. Everyone has to try. The illusion has to fail for everyone. The dream, the illusion. And until it fails, we got Cal up there who works in mental health. What is mental health? People who are trying to make the illusion work and it won't. I know. I was 20 years in the mental health system. Trying to. They gave me. They put me in mental hospitals, treatment centers. They gave me. Who knows how many pills because I was trying to make it work. It wasn't
Right.
until I finally realized failure in the illusion is going to start bringing in resources and tools such as grace. When I finally failure in the illusion is not a problem. It's a doorway. But
Yeah.
until we really privy to that information, they just we go bonkers, we go nuts. Yeah, we become we become bipolar, we become schizophrenic, we go borderline. Yeah. So that's kind of the secret. When you finally just say, I'm supposed to fail, and no one ever lets you in on the secret. You're supposed to fail, and that's success. And all of a sudden, a whole world opens up. But it's not an easy world. Because most people right now, look what's happening in the world. Oh my God, AI is going to come on. AI is coming online, and it's going to do this. It's going to do that. Well, yeah, it's gonna unwind the illusion pretty quickly, you guys. So why don't you just try getting reconnected? I'm sorry, I get a little bit of a soapbox.
It's true, and that's why it's so hard because when you try to disconnect from the illusory part, and connect to what's real, you become
Shit hits the fan.
from everything else.
Yeah, everything unlike love is going to come up.
It's so hard because, you know, I don't even
Mary, I don't think we
care
signed up
about
for,
things that I used to care about.
we didn't sign up for Planet Easy.
Mhm.
I know. It
I
kind of
know.
is right now. So,
I know you well enough to know. We got to get on to Sue. Sue, okay,
okay,
I want
Sue.
to, Mary, I want to introduce you to Sue, and well,
Hi,
Sue
Sue.
to Cal too. Sue came on last week. Yeah, it was last week. I didn't think I was going to host the call.
You
You
didn't
know,
have a host
I had
last week.
an appointment. The appointment ran late, and I got to meet Sue. So, wanted you
Oh,
to introduce yourself to the rest.
Okay. Ah, wow.
Because we had a great discussion. We didn't record it, but I wish we would have, because there was some really deep stuff we talked about.
I
It
wish I had heard it.
it was so spontaneous. It
I
just
know.
flowed so harmoniously, and there was so much acceptance. There didn't seem to be any resistance. It just opened up the space for flow. Yeah.
And I can't even remember what we talked about, but I know it was good.
Because family to me was the F word.
Mm.
Not meaning F forgiveness. But it's interesting that since living here since 2000, forgiveness is the F word that's coming up now. Forgiveness of God for putting me in this family. I was blaming God. How could you put me in this family? That's not who you are. It's not who I am. What am I doing here to finally, it's the forgiving myself for all the blame, shame, guilt, fault, judgment. I'm learning the course. I've been actually practicing the course since 2000, but it's only been this year, January 2025, that I've begun doing the workbook. No, you haven't done family yet, and you can't bypass family because the whole human race is family, but you were born into a family. And if you think you can, this is talking to myself, if you think you can skip family by, bypassing them, and then skip to the whole human race is my family. And, I didn't pick my mother and father kind of conversation. So I can pick my mother and father and my sister and my brother. I can pick my family, but it's like what I want, what I think that I need, not what. And I thought I was a spiritual person, but I'm emphasizing I thought I was a spiritual person. I'm noticing the tendency, like a flea, jumping off of this dog and onto another dog and another dog and another dog, looking for the family that I think I want and need, which is loving, which is kind, which is gentle, non-judgmental, and then, but it comes back to me, then be that.
Oh, you're right. I mean, how many people want to use spirituality to escape?
Right,
I
exactly.
mean, David Hoffmeister has all those facilities. Utah, Mexico, and Cincinnati's kind of closed down now. But people go there and they think, oh, I want to join a spiritual community. Let me see if I can speak to some of this.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to read my essay, Holy Relationship and Holy Relationship and Special Relationship? I try and compartmentalize my essays to make them real short, and I put fun graphics on Facebook. But, people always think what a holy relationship is going to look like. Oh, I'm going to meet my spiritual partner. We're going to meditate at dawn, and he's going to help me process. And no. If you really want to wake up, your holy relationship is going to push every single button and reflect everything in you that you haven't had the, the courage to look at. I hate this person. Perfect. That's your perfect match.
Yeah.
Because you can't. I get real frustrated in the beginning. I want to open up my chakras. I want to open up my third eye. Oh, I'm going to breathe. Well, good. That's really good, because you got to go into those you got to go into those relationships with a lot of reserves. And and I'm going to get back up to Kel in a minute. That's what Ram Dass says. If you want to see how enlightened you are, go spend time with your family. Spoiler, because it's going to show us, it's going to humble us. We don't talk enough about humility in the course, not humiliation, but humility. What's he talking about in the daily lessons? I don't know what anything means, and I don't know what anything's for. Now, is that humbling?
Yeah.
It's humbling. We don't. But we have to just sit and family. These relationships are gonna burn us to the ground, showing it's not. We don't need a Course in Miracles lesson. A relationship will show you that you don't know anything and you don't know what anything's for.
Yeah.
Because if you've been through enough of them, you can say, "Oh, I'm glad I got out of that relationship. Now I'll go find a better person." Guess what? That person's going to follow you to the next relationship, because it's not about the other person. It's inside of us, all of it. That's why Course in Miracles is relationship 2. Why did I just divorced the husband? Why did I remarry him again? And remarried him a third time? Because it's not out there.
Yeah.
I know. And that's what I talk about. Our backs up against the wall. We have to sit. And that's why I like you said stillness. Stillness is just saying there's no place left to run and hide. It's me.
Yeah, so true, especially when you're with your parents. Like, and wow, is it hard and is it humbling? And like everything you're saying, I have been going through this same journey with my family, and yeah, wow. Like
You see, there it is right there. Footprints in the sand behind me.
Yeah.
Kel and Sue were supposed to connect. I didn't know I was hosting this call. I just know I'm supposed to show up. Isn't this is how it works? Yeah, we've got all this shit taking place, in all of our families. But look, we wouldn't be meeting each other if it weren't for that shit. Excuse my language. I'm not really polished with my words, Mary.
no, this is true. I was literally just journaling earlier today. I was like talking to my family in the journal. I was like, I can't wait to leave, like F off. Like I was literally saying what you were talking about, Sue, like the same. And a week ago, I had so many judgments circling around. I was up all night, like, and I was like, I did this post. I don't know if anyone saw it on the Let's Discuss group. I did on my page and in the group, and I was like, these judgments are gonna kill me. Like it felt like they were gonna kill me.
True.
And I was like, I wanted to surrender them, but I didn't know how, because I'd rather be right with my judgments and judge all the judgments going on, being projected at me from my family. So what do I do back? I just decide to judge them. I'm judging the judger. Like that's insane. Yet that's all I could do. And it was killing me. And I was awake all night with these judgments. And every time I would circle in them, this wild miracle happened where God just kept talking to me about love and forgiveness all night. I was awake. I felt sick to my stomach. I was like literally purging these judgments. And this went on for a 12 hour, like overnight. I got up in the morning and I walked in the house. I've been sleeping in my camper van. I walked in the house and I was so wide open and purged of these judgments for a 24-hour period that I proceeded to have a miraculous day with my parents, joking, laughing, literally no judgment. I had never experienced that like that flavor of this. Like I've had a lot of experiences like this, but this was like literally like a 24-hour light episode of like the veil came down. And since then I've been like reverting back to my normal baseline ways.
Baseline ways. That's funny. Keep going.
So that's my story. I just wanted to share that because it was so profound what I had experienced. And I'm like, I'm not attached to getting back there, but I desire to get back there. But I also notice and recognize my ego is very attached to not going back there.
Yeah, sure.
Like I just want to avoid and be in this room and like judge and journal and get ready to leave. Like I don't want anything to do with it. And like, that's why I show up on things like this.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you came. I'm so glad to meet you. Yeah.
I picked up on the word purge. because Mary and I have recorded quite a few sessions together, and I've shared that I did a lot of ayahuasca in 2019, and the shaman put a vomit bucket next to every person in that yurt because threw it up, physically threw it up.
That version is terrifying to me, but I'm humbled by people who are willing to do that.
Well, come talk to me before you meet Mother Ayahuasca. But no, this is beautiful. It came out. I'm always a big advocate. People are trying to. I tried it for years. It didn't work. My mother tried it, and it gave her cancer. She pushed down her shadow. She was a good Christian. She pushed it down. The poor woman was only in her 60s and she got cancer. I don't want anybody else to have to. This is for my mom, by the way. Mom, I'm doing this for you. I don't want anybody else to have to get cancer. Whatever it takes to get it out. I did an essay once that was called "Mopping Up Miracles." I'll stand here with a mop bucket if you want to throw up on the floor, but please let's get it out and start circulating some of this energy. We were all, Mary and I have talked about it. We were taught to be good. Be good, be virtuous. It doesn't work. I'm sorry. That's fine. You set the intention. You don't want to go out and become a school shooter, but eventually it's going to start coming out sideways.
Yeah.
It can't not. So, I'm not a light worker. I'm a shadow worker. Bring it on. It doesn't frighten me. I met David Hoffmeister in 2017 at Mystery School in Utah, and it was the very first session. They said, you guys, these are called expression sessions. Let it rip. Oh no, I can't say that. No, that wouldn't be spiritual. I said, stop. There's confidentiality here. Let it out. Because he knew most people were sitting on a volcano, and that's why they filmed that session, to see how transformation takes place when we courageously go against our condition. And you work in mental health, so I'm just preaching to the choir. But I want to get back to Mary, because Mary, I don't know if I.
It's funny.
I always like to see you smile, because I know how difficult this is for you, but you also give us your smile, which is important. You and I laugh a lot.
I have to wonder where that comes from, because I don't think that I ever purposefully want to hurt someone. But I do because of my reaction, or maybe my own internal whatever, my feelings about myself. So I project it on to people, and I'm not a bad person, I don't think, but I have hurt people, and
well,
that's
let me
hard
jump
to-
in. Everyone in the dream hurts. This is the thing about, this is why I'll go, can I go above the battleground for a few minutes? In the dream, people try and be good. They try and be good. Well, spoiler alert. If you try and be good, you're creating the bad. Good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. That's why they gave us the Course in Miracles, because we harm each other in the dream, because we harm ourselves in the dream, because good and bad is harm.
Right.
It's
hard, and it's hard because I you look outside of yourself for validation sometimes, and when somebody doesn't tell you you're an awesome human being, you are like,
I'll never tell you you're an awesome human being.
Right.
I'll tell you you're the light of Christ, but I'm never going to tell you you're an awesome human being. Keep going.
I think and I think that's what we want to hear sometimes. But then you go to the opposite spectrum, and you become self-loathing and self-deprecating, and you start dehumanizing yourself.
It's a ping pong game. The world is a ping pong game. Love, hate, love. Until we finally, it's like those merry-go-rounds. We're all about the same age. Remember our playgrounds had those merry-go-rounds? You get on, you spin, 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 spin. Well, what happens? Eventually, Sally falls off and she goes flying into the bushes, and hopefully it doesn't break her arm. But it just spins faster and faster and faster until we finally get thrown off. And, Sally stands up and she's dizzy and she throws up a few times, but finally she's off the merry-go-round. We're all getting thrown off here. I'm sorry, I get kind of passionate about this.
I actually remember a time in my life, it might have been before my first near-death experience, but I remember thinking, because I remember as a child being on a merry-go-round, so I know what you're talking about. And then I began to actually, as I grew up, see the world as a merry-go-round, and then seeing myself on the merry-go-round. And you don't stay on the merry-go-round for the rest of your life. You go around a few times, and then you do have to get off. And using that as a metaphor, I began to feel, I think it was before I had my first near-death experience, I began to literally feel, stop the world, I want to get off.
Stop the world, I want to get off.
Feeling that the world was a merry-go-round and I didn't want to be on it anymore. And then the near-death experience happened.
Yeah.
But the truth is, you can't kill yourself and you can't kill anybody else, because there's no such thing as death. But
terrible conundrum.
It
The
is.
thing is getting off the merry-go-round and standing on solid ground, which is
but what you're describing, if I can jump in, there's a very delicate, it's kind of like 3 days of darkness. Once you realize I've got to get off the merry-go-round, it's you can't go back to the old, but the new hasn't established itself yet.
Yeah.
So there is sort of a 3 days of darkness where it takes a tremendous amount of faith, and that's where the grace enters. I call it the cocoon period, where you have to you kind of shrivel up and you say, I don't know how to do this. I'm frightened. I'm lost. I'm scared, and that's where the prayer becomes sincere. That's where that's where he starts to. We're underwater. We think we're drowning, and all of a sudden, we say, this is going to be my last gulp of air. And a hand comes through and puts an oxygen mask and that's Jesus. And he says, I'll buddy breathe you to the surface.
Yep.
But it takes a lot of bravery to be in that place. And that's, Mary, that's why I hope ayahuasca, you and I gave you Andres contact information, because that's what ayahuasca gave me. Mother ayahuasca took me right to the brink. And I was there saying, this is the end. This is dangerous. This is frightening. I said, I've been running from this my whole life, with spirituality, with mantras, with work, with relationships, and then on and on. And Mother ayahuasca pushed it all aside. She pulled back the curtain. I was right there, and I said, oh my God, I've been running from this my entire life. Get me out of here. And she had me paralyzed and pinned to the yoga mat.
Yeah.
And then suddenly came in the oxygen mask of spirit. Until that point is reached, and it's all over the Course in Miracles community. It's not the Course in Miracles, it's all over our world. Talk. Concepts. But Sue, you've had a near-death experience. Everyone's going to get a near-death. Mine was a NDLE, near-death-like experience. So my heart never stopped. But those medicines can take you right to the brink. And that's when I realized it is footprints in the sand. We are carried. And that's what I try and point out to people who come to me, and their lives are freaking out. And I say, well, your perception is that, and I understand, and I'll give you empathy for your perception, but I know that you're being carried. We can't not be carried. It's kind of like, am I doing spirituality right? Well, as if you could possibly do it wrong. You're right where you're supposed to be right now. I started preaching.
There's a certain sense of peace with that statement, because all things do work for your good. But
here comes the but.
It doesn't feel like it. It really doesn't.
No.
And it's not.
Let me just share with you the other side of that, Mary. If you think that's hard, try walking away from your family. Now, it's perfect that you and I. the reason I'm sharing that is I took the opposite path. I didn't stay with family. I completely walked away from family. That's it. The same pain you're describing is gonna come up no matter what. I had that same confusion lost. The family was not in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
The family was in my thinking. I
Mhm.
created my own family in my own mind. It took me decades away from family to realize they're not gone. It's just that their bodies aren't in front of me anymore.
Right.
It's a terrible conundrum, but it's when you realize that they could, if it wasn't your family saying this, it would be somebody else in the dream coming to
Mhm.
push that specific button to bring up that specific issue for this specific work. And so,
Right.
that's why we get
Right.
to the point where, I went through that in my 20s and 30s. I went from a relationship to relationship to relationship, and that's why I said the same one keeps appearing. Kel, I want to get to some of this. I didn't have trying to do around. I'm a Hollywood Squares here. I want to get to you next because there's a couple things you brought up that I really want documented because I'm recording this for YouTube. And by the way, if anybody says something that's too personal for YouTube, let me know and I'll edit it out. I can do that with my video editing software. You said you're non-binary, and I'm glad. I wanted to use this opportunity to introduce myself to you. I came out of the closet in 1985, and it's been very difficult for me in the ACIM community. As a matter of fact, I chose to walk away, not walk away. You can't do that. But I left Portland, or it's either Portland, Oregon too, so we got that in common.
Yeah.
I left Portland, Oregon, 3 years ago, where my queer community was.
Mhm.
And it's been very difficult for me, but I heard the prompt. I said, go to Mexico, go to Cincinnati, go to Utah. Now I'm, go to all these different places for my vision quest. And the time that I was gone, 3 of the men in my gay community have committed suicide.
Mm.
Become fractionated. It becomes all these separate little pieces
Yeah,
that
separate, right?
don't really matter.
Separate, because it's all more separation. It's like now I'm separating myself from the separation. It's like
Right.
always 3-4 times removed. Like
Right.
I don't want any of that. Yeah.
Right. And these little satellites floating out there that you're trying to shoot down, that you
Yeah.
that you want to kill. That's how I feel.
Well, but Mary, at least you're getting honest. I'll take honesty over spirituality any day. I'm glad this is beautiful. We're flushing out family because that family has been the theme in my story for 4 decades.
Mhm.
Family, and that's what it took in my story, 4 decades to really push me into this, which has to be fully committed 100%. David Hoffmeister is very clear. You can't do spirituality on the side, and I don't even call it spirituality. He laughs, so people, he draws a lot of people come and listen to him because he laughs. But it has to be a full commitment. That's how I emerged from the mental health system, full on. And then, come from the 12-step days where they used to say, you can't be a little bit sober. It's either all or nothing. So,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I remember so I was living the only time since I was 18, I lived here in Buffalo with my parents. I'd been avoiding escaping in Oregon out west for many years. And I came back to live here in 2017. That was my first big year with the course. And I remember I was depressed that year. I haven't been depressed much. My whole MO has mostly been anxiety. And I was really depressed that year and very chronically ill with mold and all this stuff from Oregon. And I remember starting to listen to Jennifer Hadley's podcasts and got into her program. And anyway, I remember like half of me heard something she said about the course and was so mad and angry. And the other half was like, oh, that could be true. That's my way out. And what she said was like, you're making yourself depressed. Like you're choosing not to be happy. And I was just sitting there like, oh my God, that's like a horrible thing to say, right? But it's like half of me hated that and half of me knew there was truth in that. And so I had to reconcile that. Like I had to like see this little T truth and also see this big T truth and reconcile and forgive it to really know, okay, I can choose to be happy. Like, and I'm not doing this by myself. Holy Spirit's taking care of this anyways. So all I need to do is be willing.
I'm glad I recorded that because, you know, this is not an easy path. Some of these truths are going to be very painful to digest. This is a bitter pill to swallow.
Yeah.
And, you know, not everyone, you know, not every spiritual teacher, you know, can, I've had a lot of spiritual teachers, you know, come in and just try to use the Zen stick. Well, you really have to join with the person and really be able to deliver this spoon feed. We're trying to, you know, it's like you've liberated a concentration camp, but you can't give those starving people a 10-course meal. You're going to have to start them off slowly with nutrition. We've been so starved that, you know, if you give us too much truth all at once, you know, it can, and that's why I don't recommend medicine for everyone, because you don't, for some people, it's dangerous to do medicine. You know, ayahuasca is just going to lift the lid right off of you know, your pain body, and you're going to have to sit with it for 3 hours. Not that I don't think anybody's ever died from ayahuasca, but you know, not everyone's ready for that. You know.
No, you're right. But are you ever really ready?
You are.
You know what I mean? I mean, sometimes it's like a slap in the face that's what it takes. I mean,
I don't know. I keep thinking medicine for you, Mary.
I know. Forever and ever.
It's only 3 hours.
How many more years do I have on this earth? I don't know, but
you're just going to keep putting me off, aren't you?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
listen, here's what I do. We've been on the call I got an hour recorded. What I like to do is I like to record it for an hour, and then I turn off the recording. Now, I got to go take my godfather. Speaking of family, I'm here with family. And you know what? I think he wants me to take him out to dinner. I'm going to go get us a hamburger. But I want to leave, you know, this is great. I want to leave the Zoom room open for you. So is that all right with you? Can I turn off the recording and go take him out to dinner? And just want to thank you three. Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Kel. And thank you, Sue. So I'm going to wrap it up. But don't leave, because I want you to stay on and talk to each other. So this is Kenneth Price, Reverend Kenneth Price, on Wednesday, September 24th. I've been here with Kel, Sue, and Mary, and we've been unpacking a lot. I thought about naming this empathy, but we just had real talk together. We didn't have any plan. We didn't have any format, and we unpacked. I think we'll talk. I think the issue will be family. I think we unpacked family more than anything else. And if there's one thing people have issues with, if people don't have issues with their family, then they're lying. Everyone does. So if you're watching this on YouTube, leave your comments below and join us on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Okay. God bless and much love.